It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thanks for tuning in for a special edition of Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, in the Service Electric Cablevision area, we are on HD as well, channel 513. How is the city of Hazleton doing, and how does the city of Hazleton reflect the entire area? Well, we got Mayor Cassatt on the show today, and also our police chief in Hazleton, Jerry Speziale. And Jeff, thanks for coming on the show. I know you've been pretty busy, okay? As you said, you have what, 13 items on your desk already?
Today, yeah.
You're doing something then, right there, Mayor? Chief, it's always nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Let me start with you, Mayor. Now, you're going on 6 months, okay? Let's talk about where we are in the city, general, to give the citizens of Hazleton an opportunity of knowing where we are. Are we improving? Are we status quo or whatever? Give me your input on that.
I think as a whole, we're moving forward very well. Every department has seen significant changes in the first 6 months. I'd like to be a little bit better off financially, but other than that, I think we're doing great. The police department had a few new changes, the code department, the parking, the fire department, everything is moving along well.
With cooperation, okay, you were a city councilman, so you know what it is to be in city council, working with the mayor. How are things with the council?
Communication is non-existent.
Is this healthy, though?
No, it's absolutely no. I haven't spoken to a council member since the May meeting. The last meeting, they had a special meeting. I was told about it, but not asked to participate. So it's just non-existent, and it's not good. The last meeting, we talked about a borrowing plan to try to get the city on better grounds moving forward, and it was kind of dismissed and voted down. So
now that has to have an effect on city government somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, I was told at that meeting that it's their meeting, their agenda, and if I want something on the agenda to be talked about, I have to ask for permission. So, I mean, that just kills the city moving forward at all.
And not one of them, okay, have contacted you and specifically on any particular issue that they're concerned about?
In the last month, no.
What do you do to get communication open?
You
were there.
I'm trying to move the city forward. I keep putting things forward. We're working on ideas, and just haven't really got cooperation or participation. We talked about doing work sessions, and everybody agreed to do a work session, but nothing has taken place in the month of June. So I'm assuming that they really don't want to work with me.
Considering the fact that you don't have the cooperation that you'd like to have, what detriment would that be to moving the city ahead in different areas?
Well, I mean, we started the year off in January, and I said we're going to be financially, we're going to be in a bad situation moving forward. At the 3-month mark, I came out and said we're going to be estimated $856,000 short. Still nothing has been brought forward. No ideas have been talked about, and we still continue on that path to being short for the end of the year. And if we get through this year, that situation is still going to be there next year. I mean, there's going to be a big surprise coming when the budget comes out in November. And like they said, it's their budget, and they're responsible for it. So I don't know why they, just don't see the urgency of fixing the financial state of the city.
Well, Jeff, I have any business that you're involved with. I mean, I have to communicate with my departments here, and they certainly have input. Any business, you have business, you still have a business, you know what it's all about. How do we open these lines of communication, okay, so councilmen at least agree to disagree with you?
Well, I guess I put things forward, and they just get voted down. They haven't really brought up anything to come to me to talk about. So I see why they're not coming. They have no plans of putting anything forward. You know, it's 6 months into the year, and I don't believe one thing was put on the agenda by any of the 5 council members.
Not even a suggestion as to, you know,
I don't recall anything.
What are we doing to? I'm going to get to crime in a minute, in the police department in a minute. But what are we doing? We pay mercantile tax. We pay a city tax as the owner of this building here, and we could certainly move to Hazel Township, Cunningham, or whatever, and don't pay that. So. And we certainly don't mind paying that because we know what services we're getting. So to get the services that we need, all right, we need creative ideas. We need creative people, and putting their agendas aside, okay? It bothers me, if I didn't vote for you for mayor, okay, that doesn't mean that I cannot then try to work and make the city better, whoever the mayor is. I'm not happy with the President of the United States, but I respect the office, okay? So this mindset that we have as we begin to try to grow, it takes a leader to do that, okay? And I'm sure you're that person. What would be your wish as mayor so we can work together?
I wish they would come up with some ideas and let's talk about them. I mean, you can't always just say, no, we're not doing that without coming up with a viable solution. I mean, we started this year, the budget was $900,000 bad. It continues to be $900,000. It's easy to say there's a problem, but have no answers to fix it. You know, at least come up with a suggestion or come and talk about one of the ideas that I have. You know, there's things that put on the agenda, they're pulled off with no reason. So how am I supposed to come up with revenue ideas and talk about them and discuss them without having them brought forward on the floor? You know, we're not allowed to all meet together and have meetings behind closed doors. So for me to talk to them, I need to put stuff on the agenda and have work sessions to discuss them and try to move forward. But without any kind of meetings or getting stuff on the agenda or them having a work session or putting ideas on, there's no way we're going to move forward.
Have you asked President of Council Jack Mundy that you want a work session?
That was the main topic of the last council meeting. Said they want them, we want them, but nothing has come.
Well, who calls the work session?
Council would have to.
Okay, so you've asked him to have a work session.
Correct.
All right. So what are some of the things that you put on that you want to foresee in the city that they're not giving you the cooperation?
Well, there's a few revenue ideas that I had. We have a towing ordinance that we believe would bring in a lot of revenue. You know, which I'm sure we could talk about when you know, after the break when we talk about the crime and the things that are going on. But there's just like those ideas they're pulling off without ever even bringing them forward and saying that this is what we have. So
does it boil down to politics, Jeff? Does it boil down to the nonsense that people look at and they say, you know, it's the same old stuff, we don't like Jeff, you know, we don't like this person, and anything you suggest, I'm against?
I think it's just being not creative. Nobody has an idea of how to move forward. So it's easier just to poke the finger and say it's your fault, it's your job to figure this out.
Well, how can you do your job if they're not going to be cooperative with you?
I agree.
I mean, this is nonsense. This is total nonsense. I mean, I'd love to have. I mean, the city council members are always welcome to come on the show, but you know, I mean, there's people there that I think have some creative ideas.
They should have creative ideas. I mean, Jack Mundy ran for mayor, said he had the answers. Grace Cuso ran for mayor, they had the answers. Jean, this is her second term, she ran twice. Dave, this is his, I guess, second go around. Everybody said they had answers and they had ideas, but like I said, not one idea was brought forward yet this year, 6 months into the year, and no ideas were brought forward.
So if you're, now how's Gavio?
Gavio's, I get along with Gavio. He's willing to try ideas. You know, he's willing to give me the leash and let me hang myself, in a way of saying it. But we need to move forward. I don't care whose ideas they are. You know, we're all on the same team.
Exactly.
But we gotta play together and, you know, have ideas and discuss them.
Well, you said, you brought something up here. You said that when Jack Mundy was running for mayor, he had, you know, some ideas of what he wanted to do for the city, okay? Sosa's been around a long time. Okay, he should have some ideas. Grace ran for mayor a couple times, so she should have a lot of ideas. Now, they did not come and say, well, you know, when I was running for office, Jeff, I wanted to do this, and this is what I wanted to do. Can we talk about this? So, in other words, were they lying to the public?
That I won't say. I mean, they said they had ideas, you know, and then when it came budget time, all we did was, let's cut this, cut this, cut this. You can't keep cutting. We went from about 180 employees down to 124, and we're still providing the same services. That's why the streets are, you know, not being kept up to par. That's why we can't get as much patrol and foot patrol on the streets as we'd like to. You know, we can't offer, because we don't have the manpower to do all the jobs we want to. You can't cut yourself out of financial distress.
When you have the city council meetings and people come up to make comments, okay, has anyone come up with any kind of suggestions? I mean, if we can't get them from council, are we getting them from our citizens?
You know, some people do come up to the podium. They have suggestions. However, our form of government, there's a lot of stuff that is not allowed. You know, we have a very specific form of government. We're a third-class city with a strong mayor optional Plan B, which there's a lot of things that you could do in a township, in a borough, in a home rule that you cannot do in a city, a third-class city. So a lot of people have ideas, you know, but they're not valid. And it's not because the city can't do it, it's because on the state level. I mean, the state has to give us the right to tax for something or to charge a fee. You can't just come up with ideas and say, hey, this person should be paying, that person should be paying, and leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. So I would sense a lot of frustration if I were you.
It's very frustrating. I mean, I come to work every day and I start projects and I get to 75, 80% of it done, and then I really, do I bring it to council? Do I do this? What's going to happen if it shuts down? If it gets shut down, is it ever going to get passed through again, or is it going to be a dead issue forever?
Do you ever send them information?
I send them anything they ask for. If I have it, I'll send it.
Do they know that you're, like, for example, when I was chairman of the board, I made sure all my trustees got what we were doing and kept them well informed. Are they getting that information?
I send them what I think is needed. I mean, there's, you know, I don't bring them in too early onto a project, because if it dies before I get it that far, you know, we don't, you know, I don't give them in the work. I mean, that's not their job.
Yeah,
I mean, they're legislative, we're administrative.
Right.
When I come up with something, I put it there, then they make the decision, is it going to work or is it not going to work?
Yes.
You know, but they're not every day.
Well, you see, you're working full-time, correct?
Yes.
All right. And they are not working full-time.
No.
Okay. So there's a difference here. I mean, if you're there every day, you're seeing everything that's happening.
Well, it's different branches of the government. I mean, they don't have a say or on certain things. I mean, they're legislative. We're administrative.
Yeah.
But no, you can't, unless you sit there every day and go through and see what needs to be done. I spend time with the police department. After I'm done working, I go out with the police, trying to meet every officer. I spend time with the fire department. I go out with the code. I go out with the parking. I'm going out with every department and trying to learn how to make their job easier, how we could benefit from certain situations. And that's what I've been doing. I'm trying to go out to learn every person, get everybody's aspect of what they think would make the job, you know, better for everybody, you know, safer. I mean, the biggest thing we have now is safety. You know, we're out there trying to, with code, we just hired more code and more parking enforcement. And it's not to go out and penalize people, but we want to make the city safer. I mean, I know there's a lot of people upset about the parking enforcement that's going on. But we're trying to make the city safer. You know, people that are parking too close to the corner, blocking fire hydrants, and in the walkways. You got to take into consideration the handicapped, the elderly with the wheelchairs, the fire engines in the emergency vehicles making turns. Nobody takes that into consideration. I mean, I'm only running in for a minute, I'm only going to be here. But it only takes a split section for our fire engine to come flying down the street. And if a car is blocked there, so we're not looking to make revenue. We're trying to make the city safer.
Yeah.
And we're trying to help the local business on turnover. If somebody's parking at a meter all day long, that does no good for the local businessman downtown. We want the turnover rate, so you get a customer and they move on, the next customer comes, so they look at it that way. our code enforcement is out there. We had one sweep so far. We have another one planned where we're going up and down, evaluating every property, trying to make the city safe. We don't want no death traps out there or stuff blocking the streets. And everything's a safety for safety purposes.
Folks, I'm talking to Mayor Jeff Gassett, Hazleton, and I'll be talking to the chief. We come back after this break. Welcome back to the special edition of the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, ssptv.com. You can watch all of our programs 24/7, and we're on HD at 513 on the Service Electric Cablevision cable network. My guest today, Chief of Police Jerry Speziale, and also our Mayor Jeff Gassett. Chief, you got 37 police officers, and so tell me, since you've come here, what has happened in the city of Hazleton as far as our vigil goes?
You have to realize that we're more focused on evidence-based policing, where we're looking at data, looking at hotspot policing, where we're deploying resources to those areas, using Cooper's Curve and walking patrols in different areas to prevent crime before it happens. Technology, enhancements in technology. So there's a lot of things that have been going on, going after the drug market with the text for tips, and having the community collaboration has been a big part of our success, because working with the community has been extremely successful. We are changing the image of the department, moving forward with 2 new police cruisers. So there's a lot of things that are happening. The department is completely motivated. The men and women are working extremely hard, and they're doing a great job at what they're doing. We have a new thing that's called crimereports.com that'll eventually be released. We'll show where all sex offenders are for people that want to see that on the internet, on our website. As you know, we have a state-of-the-art website. In addition to that, we are able to track crimes in clusters and show where crimes happen and what times they happen, so that we can deploy resources to prevent those crimes before they happen. So a lot of the things that we do today in 21st century policing is technology, allocating our resources properly, and doing evidence-based policing, which is using data hotspots and driven by data.
So since you've come on board, okay, and I got to tell you, throughout the years, we've had many great police chiefs in Hazleton, really, with all due respect to every one of them. What are the facts, okay? Where does crime stand today versus last year in this 6-month period?
I'm running the numbers right now, but if you look at the first couple months, the indicators were about 26 to 29%. What we're doing with this new crime reports, what it will allow me to do now is track year-to-year statistics. What this year, January to January of last year, February to February, a 6-month period, each quarter. So, in the first 2 months, we were down about 26 to 29%. Now we'll move forward and we'll look at our midpoint, which will be July 1st. And I would think that our numbers will be down,
So,
all indicators are they're down, because
Yeah.
you look at the pass on, you look at the crime that we're facing, the motivation of the men and women that are out there. They're doing a great job. So with the increased activity and the fact that the men and women are fighting crime based on data and where the problems are occurring, that's displacing criminals. Obviously, they leave the area, and those that do not get arrested.
Mayor Gassett, when he ran, one of the things he said was, we're going to make the place, you're going to pay a price if you're going to have crime in the city of Hazleton. And we've seen that happen. So, see, these are facts. I'm not just going to shoot, you're a great guy, I love you.
No.
So the facts are that crime is going down.
Right.
The fact is the word is out there, okay?
Absolutely.
I was in Scranton a couple of weeks ago, and I run the shows in Scranton, Lackawanna, Channel 190, Saturdays and Sunday mornings. And I did run the show that I did that interview with you one-on-one to let them know who you are and your reputation, okay? And I was at a meeting and the doctor came up and the lawyer came up and says, "We want your chief." We want, not that their chief is not doing a job, but the fact is that the innovations, and plus word is out there. The criminal element knows, that Speziale has his guys out there.
Once you use what is called the Hawthorne effect or the Hawthorne theory, and you let criminals know, we're watching you, we're coming for you, and we're going to be on top of you, they leave.
Yeah.
They're less likely to commit crimes.
Yeah. Let's hope they leave a huge distance and not a couple of miles.
Exactly. You want them
going to our neighbor.
No, you don't want to push them to your neighbors. You want to displace them completely.
Yeah. When you were on last time, you talked about technology, okay, and about these cameras.
Yeah.
How far, where if you hear a shot, the cameras turn around and need place. Now, we do have cameras throughout the city now, right?
Yes.
That are monitored. So, how close are we to that?
Awards will start coming out probably in October of this year. They're very competitive. We've applied for the cops hiring grant. We've applied for the technology grant for the gunshot detection system, shot spotter. So we hope to get that. If we are unsuccessful, then, and that becomes problematic, then we need to realize that we have to find another way to fund those types of initiatives.
We are looking at 37 police enforcement. The city of Hazleton really should have 50, correct? Okay. Now, Jeff, you had said a while back on the show that if everyone would pay, if you placed a tax, it would cost the average household $50 a year, okay, in terms of what the millage would be. Is that still?
Well, that was an entire package we were trying to put together.
Yeah.
I'd have to rework the numbers, but we did come up with a borrowing plan about 2 months ago that I brought to council, which was voted down. But we got together with the union, and I sat there, we negotiated, and they came up with a great package and gave us a lot of stuff back, and that would bring our force to 44 officers total, which that's more in line with what we need to be, and with the concessions that they were going to give us would make it much more affordable.
But we're talking about the fact that it was about a $50 in that area.
It wasn't much because the average home.
So I think if we would do a poll, when we're looking at now what our great police force is doing, Hazleton, and as all the police forces are doing, they would be, when they see the values of their homes going up because crime is coming down, I don't think there's anyone who would not want to say, I'll pay an extra $50 to help Jerry out. Could you imagine what you could do with 44 cops, Jerry? I mean, that's logic to me.
People got to realize it's an investment in your house.
Absolutely.
Everybody talks about how the property value has gone down, down.
Yes,
If you make an investment of $100, an additional $100 per year, your house will eventually go back up.
It's common sense.
And I mean, if your house goes up $1,000, is that $100 investment worth it? I mean, it's an investment. You can't look at it as a tax. If your home, you got to consider your home a business. That's your livelihood. You have to invest back into your home. You only pay $200. The average home pays $270 a year for police, fire, and streets. The average home is $61,000. But you pay that much. You pay $480 for your sewer a year. You pay $1,200 for your cable. $1,200 for your cell phone. I mean, you're paying $270 a year for police, fire, and streets. So the safety of your children is on the bottom of the totem pole.
Which should be reversed. Folks, I'm talking to Mayor Jeff Cassett and Chief Jerry Speziale. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the special edition of Sam Lesante Show. Folks, I'm sure Jeff Cassett, before he became mayor, or as he sits as mayor, he sits at his desk and says, what could I do now to really hurt the city of Hazleton? And I'm sure Jerry Speziale, who has a reputation as long as the city of Hazleton, came into this town and says, how do I ruin my career and do everything that's bad for the city of Hazleton? Of course, it's total nonsense, and I bring this up only because sometimes, they don't realize what you guys have at stake. As the mayor, etc. And no one's always perfect. Jerry, you're folks. If you didn't see the show I did with Jerry one-on-one, it's on the archives, ssptv.com. You really know all about him and what he has been through, and certainly everybody knows about Jeff. All I could say, Jeff and Jerry, is that we hope you're not always 100% correct, but we need input, we need cooperation, and Jeff, I'm hoping you're going to get that.
Thanks.
I really hope you're going to get that. Jerry, I can tell you, as an owner here of property who pay taxes, I couldn't be more pleased with our police department. Even last year with Chief DeAndrea, and I mean, and just we see things great. And hats off to anyone who's in the police department today. Those state cops, I don't envy them at all. Any cop, I don't envy. So thanks for coming on the show and keep us informed. Anything happening, Jeff, you need us, we're here. Folks, it's ssptv.com. You can watch all of our shows. I had the chief on a few times, but the last show we did, or before that, when we talked about what he is involved with, I think you really would be very proud to know that we have a great guy here in Hazleton. And Mayor Cassette, my hat goes off to you, because I know how frustrating it would be if you don't get cooperation, even if you may not agree to, just agree to disagree. So, Councilman, I hope that you will do what's right for the city of Hazleton. We'll see you next time.